everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kendra and today I'll be telling you the most disappointing books that I read in 2019. I have about 10 books to share with you, and these don't mean that they are like the worst books I read. It's just books that I was disappointed in. I was super excited to read, and then when I read them, they just fell flat. So these are in no particular order. The first book I'm going to talk about is On the Island by Tracy Garvis Graves, and this is an adult romance that is basically a deserted island type of story. What I did not like about this book is the writing. The writing to me was absolutely atrocious. When they kept talking, okay, so there's only two people on this island, two people. And they had to keep saying each other's name every single time they talk to each other. Why? Obviously they know their names. Why do you need to keep saying their names? It annoyed the living crap out of me, and it just totally took the enjoyment of this book down completely. And I heard so many great things about this book. I don't know why. Maybe, obviously, I'm not popular opinion on this book, but I did not like it at all. And I really am nervous to read another book by this author. I don't know if her writing has gotten better or what, but nope, didn't like at all. So, yep. Disappointing book. The next book I have is The Huntress by Kate Quinn. I was so excited to read this book because I heard that her previous book, I can't remember what the book is called, was an amazing book. So I was super excited to pick up her newest book, and this is a World War II historical fiction novel, and nope, I didn't like it. It was super long. And I know, so there was like a little mystery aspect to this book, and I figured out who the person was at the very beginning of the book. Like, I don't know if you were supposed to know, but I felt like that could have been revealed later on, and it could have been more interesting of a story. I don't know. And this book took me forever to read. Like, I want to say it took me almost 2 weeks to read, and that is not like me at all. And I love historical fiction. This one was just long, and there was just parts of this book that were very, like, dragged on, and I don't know. I'm definitely interested in picking up her previous book that everyone liked, and if she comes out with another book, I'm interested in checking out another book by her. So she's definitely not taken off of my list of reading her books. So hopefully I will like a book by this author. I'm hoping so, because the premise of The Huntress was really good. I found it interesting. However, it just fell flat for me. The next one is You Be Mine by Erin Hahn, and this is a YA contemporary, and this is about two characters, and they are country stars. One is trying to become a country star, and they end up falling in love. So I loved the country music aspect of this book. I thought that was very fascinating, and I really loved that. But there is a part in this book that is set in Columbus, Ohio, and I live very close to Columbus, Ohio, and the geographic of the description of that was so wrong that it just rubbed me the wrong way. I just couldn't see past it. After I read that, I was like, nope, I can't. So, I don't know. If you can't get the geographic right of that region or that area, then don't write about it. Simple enough. But, so, yep, nope, didn't like it. The next book is a super unpopular opinion, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of wrath for it. And it is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. And I really like the premise of this book of the first son and the prince of England falling in love, having a relationship. And I like the enemies to lovers of this book. I loved the romance part of this book. Loved it. I loved that so much. I hated the political parts of this book. I am not a political person whatsoever, and I felt like it was too heavy in politics, and I just didn't like that. So I didn't give this book like a super low rating or anything. It was just a disappointment because it was so highly hyped and I was so excited to read it that when I did read it, it just didn't do it for me. So maybe I'll read another book by this author and hopefully I'll like her next book. The next book that I want to talk about is With a Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo, and this book was my last straw for YA contemporary. I was super excited to read this book. This book had the most gorgeous cover of all time, and I thought the premise of this book was interesting. So what annoyed me about this book was when the main character, she kept calling her daughter baby girl, and she would say it at least 5 times on the same page, and after, the 20th time I was like, for the love of God, just call her by her real name. Like, why do we have to keep saying baby girl? Annoyed. I was just completely annoyed, and like I said, that was the last straw for me for YA contemporary. After that, I just don't see maybe I'm just, it just isn't the genre for me anymore. Yeah, I just did not like it, and it annoyed the crap out of me. So that's that. The next book is another unpopular opinion. This is loved by many romance booktubers. This is A Lesson in Thorns by Sierra Simone. I just didn't get this book. I didn't get it. I was confused half the time. The whole plot of this book was just, I don't know, it just didn't make sense. It was all over the place, and I felt like this book was just a complete mess. And there was just too much going on in this book. So, I don't know. I did not like it at all. I literally ended up giving this book 1 star, and I think it was maybe not the only one star read of the year, but definitely one of them. And no, I did not like this book at all, and I've heard that the second book is bad because people that like the first one does not like the second one. So maybe I was halfway right that it was bad, but nope, hated it. Love the cover, really gorgeous cover, but no, did not like the book at all. The next book I want to talk about is The Chalk Man by CJ Tudor, and this is an adult thriller. I really thought I was going to love this book. Another book that was hyped and I was super excited to read. And however, I just felt like this book was so slow and nothing honestly really thrilling happened. And I was just not a fan of it at all. And most of the time I like when there is dual perspectives or dual timelines in a book, and this was a dual timeline book where it was like past and present, and for whatever reason this book just made me feel so disconnected from the characters that I just was not engaged enough in this book, and I just did not really care for it at all. So unfortunately this was another disappointment for me. The next book I want to talk about is The Arrangement by Robin Harding. I thought the premise of this book sounded amazing because it was about a sugar daddy and a sugar baby. I thought that was going to be super intriguing to read about, and however, it was interesting to read about, but the thriller part of the book was so lackluster that I just didn't care about the thriller part. So maybe if it was just about the sugar daddy and sugar baby premise, I really would have probably loved the book, but nope, didn't like it. It was just a mediocre thriller for me. The next book I want to talk about is A House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman, and this is a YA horror, and it's like a novella because it's very short, and This book had Mega and Celeb in it, and I hated it. I hated every last bit of it. I hate Insta-Love so much, and the whole premise of this book was just weird. I don't know. And then the ending was even more weirder, so no, this book was not for me. Did not like it. Will I pick up another Josh Malerman? I don't know. I've heard his books are very out there, so doubt it. So nope, didn't like it at all. And the last book I want to talk about is The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. And I believe this book is a horror, and it kind of was like a dystopian as well. So I was very interested in reading this book. I predicted I was going to give it 5 stars because a lot of people love this book that I knew. So I was super excited to read it, and then I read it and I hated it. I thought the premise of this book was super juvenile and nothing happened. Like nothing. No. I hated it. And one of the most annoying things about this book was when I was reading the perspective of the little girl, she was 8 years old, it was like her talking as an adult, and it just made the book unrealistic, and I just did not like it at all. Like when you're writing different characters and you need to be notable about how old they are and write like how they would actually talk, and this book did not do it at all. And not only because of that, the premise was super bad too. So I don't think I'll probably read another Paul Tremblay either. His writing was awful. So yeah, didn't like it. Probably won't read another book by this author. Well, those are all 10 books that disappointed me in 2019. Did you read any of these books? Did we have the same opinion or opposite opinion? Let me know in the comments, and until then, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!